This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian. Mission to
Okay, here we go. Guys, this week we went to the theaters. There's new movies coming out, and this one was getting great reviews, and I thought, hey, going to the theaters is fun. It's great. Going to packed theaters, horror movies opening night, some of the best nights you could ever have in your entire life.
And then you got to the theater
and this movie is Longlegs. And we're going to do 20 seconds on the clock here, TC. Let's go straight into the quick spoiler-free reviews at the very beginning to give general thoughts before we dive into it, because there is some spoilery stuff in this movie for sure, I think.
All righty.
So TC, you want to... Well, TC sounds like it's going negative. John, you want to go first?
I can go first.
All right, go ahead, John.
Indie horror film, some good jump scares, some unfavorable Silence of the Lambs comparisons. But I enjoyed myself and Hell Satan.
Okay. Can I go second? All right. Also, Hail Satan. Yes, of course. This movie is going to suffer from some false marketing, I think. I went in there thinking, just read the reviews and then, all right, just go to Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic, look at the critic reviews, look at the audience reviews. I actually kind of liked it, but I walked out of there thinking it wasn't scary at all. Oh, look at that. I did it. Congratulations, me. I kept it under 20 seconds. All right, CC, clear yourself up there.
I'm going. It's, not a good movie. Not scary. Left the theater being like, why? And wow, did they just reuse a bunch of other things from other movies over and over and over again, right? Jesus Christ, yeah. No, thank you. Marketing can't fucking fool me.
It did fool you. It got your money. It doesn't
mean
TC.
I liked it.
I completely avoided the trailers. So what was the marketing? What did they do with the
trailers? Were fucking scary. Like 2 minutes and it looked like it was going to be scary.
Yeah.
It basically, like, this movie is really stretched out. Like the scenes of the scariness are just so long and unpunctuated with things that it's just like, oh, there's somebody in her house now. Okay. This is supposed to be scary? Like, I'm not afraid right now because things are moving so slowly. Even when the jump scare happened, I honestly was like looking away from the movie screen when she was wandering around her mother's house and she opens up the dresser or whatever, pulls out the Polaroids, and there's a jump scare because she realizes it's Longlegs in the photos. I wasn't looking at the screen when that happened. I wasn't even paying attention that I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at this giant fucking screen and I wasn't looking at it when that happened. That's how meandering it was. I was like just bored by it at the moment, you know? Oh,
it was bad. I mean, the exposition was so crazy. It was exposition the entire movie. They literally had to tell you everything.
The third, Act 3, so there's 3 acts. The third one starts with 10 minutes of exposition of because the entire time you're like, what the fuck is going on? Right. Like, none of this makes any sense. And then they just explain it to you through like magic dolls and the devil. You're like, I don't know about this.
And I was like, it still didn't make sense.
Yeah. But I kind of liked it. It was all kind of entertaining.
That's exactly how I feel about it. It's just fun to go to a movie theater.
It's not classic. It's not like going to be a classic. It wasn't scary. That was kind of the biggest bummer. Because I was expecting to be scared.
The first reveal of Nic Cage, again, I'm not seeing any of this. The first reveal
I know.
gave me a good jump scare.
Oh, my God.
Like that first
I just thought it was funny. He's just like, I wore my long legs today.
But I liked it. I
liked it too.
Yes.
I liked it especially because if it wasn't for that intro scene, which was a couple minutes long, the next 45 minutes, I would have been like, what am I doing watching this movie?
This
is so boring. Right. But because of that intro part, I was like, oh man, this is like
feel like
weird.
This is all going to tie together, right?
Right. And it they do tie it together. Whether or not you like how they do it, that's up in the air. But it just, that intro was really useful to make it at all interesting because I was waiting for something like that to happen the whole time.
Right. And I like the aspect ratio that they did the square.
And then it just slowly
I love that. I love that it bleeds because you're wondering, is this whole film going to be in this ratio? And
John hates the square, as we learned from the
exactly. I'm in this fucking theater, and I got this stupid square.
I go to the fucking movie to see the whole damn screen, not like a third of it.
Right.
Just because you're some artist, god damn you.
So, I wonder if do they mix the audio and mono when they do that too?
You gotta grasp at straws when the movie sucks, right?
I liked it. I like.
What if we make it in mono here? Will they notice that it's a shit movie? I don't know.
I like the mono, and then I like how you imperceptibly wonder if the screen's widening and going to full frame. I like that. I thought that was fun. So that was I don't know if that's happened before. I'm sure some other movie has done that.
For sure, it's happened. That happens in like
but to do
when
it
they
so
do
gradually,
IMAX and stuff. Yeah.
But I thought that there was just a lot that was also Silence of the Lambs was a couple of films ago for us, and Cage's character was kind of like a bad James Gunn, and so there was that
Bad meaning didn't fit in the movie, poorly acted.
No, but you could,
wasn't scary.
Right. So it
was weird too because there were scenes where he was supposed to be scary. Like there's the scene in No Country for Old Men where he goes into the grocery store and scares the shit out of the cashier, right? And then in this movie, Nicolas Cage goes and tries to scare the shit out of like a teenage girl.
What is going on?
She's not scared.
The creepy guy's back.
Right. And you're like, wait a minute, isn't this supposed to be a scary movie? Why isn't like I'm not afraid because she's not afraid? This is the stupidest, weirdest thing I've ever seen. And Nic Cage is being weird with like his hands and shit. And I'm like, that's kind of entertaining, and his makeup is cool, but like I don't understand the point of this.
Ad-libbed. I'm
gonna smash my face.
All right.
Didn't that other movie already do that?
And
the other movie already do that? And the other movie already do that? Yeah, but I'm Nic Cage, so
But I'm Nic Cage. Nobody's gonna smash my face like me. But then also there's just Jodie Foster comparisons where she's like breathing heavily and going through the house at first. Yeah, and it just.
I thought the lead actor in this movie was really good. Micah Monroe. I thought she was really good.
I couldn't tell if she seems so weird, and it sort of makes sense. She's messed up, and so it's.
If the whole movie had followed her tone, I think it would have been a lot better because like she was a tone setter, but like everything else around her broke it. Like her boss broke the tone because he was like oddly silly sometimes.
Well, no, he was more like like the captain in Beverly Hills Cop or something. He was like but
it didn't work for like a moody horror movie, right? Because it was mostly her. And she had a consistent tone, and it matched everything else in the movie.
But I agree, and maybe that's not. Maybe then I was thinking she's out of place. But you're right. I think if everything else,
when none of it fits together, it's up to you to decide what's out of place.
Right? Who's at fault here? But but I just felt like she seemed odd, and then she seemed different than everybody around her. But she was different, John, right? She has the friggin' psychic powers or whatever. Psychic powers.
Or either that or she's just being fed information from the devil that lives in a ball outside of her own head, but she's connected to.
Another good sudden sequence early on when the partner gets shot at the door. Again, really.
I saw that coming from the second she saw the thing.
It was gonna happen.
Dude, I honestly, I was like, her partner's going to get killed. They didn't introduce this guy. He kind of looks like a nobody. He's going to get murdered in 2 seconds.
He's going to be dead. Yeah. But again, just sort of like doing that, thinking, well, this must be long. I like how they then did the quick cut to her taking the psychic tests.
Let me just name off things. So, Mayor of Easttown was that gunshot in the doorway. That's where that was from. That interview thing was from Blade Runner 2049, where they do that interview thing to check to see how you're doing. Like everything they do in this movie is just like taken from something else, like TC was saying. And it's altered a little bit to fit in the story. And I kind of liked it because it was fun that it was trying all these different things that I had already seen and liked in other things.
Fair.
But at the same time, I couldn't stop thinking about how
Tom to me just did that like not too long ago.
There's like a
with the face smashing, face smashing from Talk to Me.
Like that just came out, guys. Give it a little more effort than that.
Like
Jesus.
A lot of the car driving stuff, the shots were similar to It Follows, which this actor was in. She was the lead actor.
Oh, was she? Oh, okay.
She was, which was surprising because I didn't recognize her. I thought that was part of the...
She was much younger then, though, too.
She was younger and she was blonde, and her character was different. So there's a bunch different.
Well,
there.
she was really young in that one, or at least
she was 20.
Playing somebody very young. Yeah,
I looked it up because I was like, I thought the same thing. She was 20.
I think in It Follows, they were like high school kids. I think they were supposed to be, right? You and I saw that together, I think.
We did. That was good.
Yeah.
That one scared me a little bit. There was a couple scenes that scared me in that one. This one, I literally wasn't scared once.
And you know what's funny?
I
kept thinking to myself,
I had a couple of jumps.
Maybe I'm not scared because I don't like this kind of movie. Maybe I'm not scared because I'm not paying attention. But then by the time I left, I was like, that just wasn't scary. I don't know. I don't care what the guys say tomorrow. If they like this movie, we're at odds. I'm fighting them.
And I think that's horror too, because like some people, it's really hard to tell now because everyone's blaming AI bots and reviewers that were paid off that wrote all the good reviews and stuff. But horror is pretty subjective. That like some people can get scared, and all the reviewers probably saw it before all this hyperbolic stuff came out about it. Where that definitely ruined it for me. I tried not to watch or read too much about it, but I got some of it, and it raised the bar really high, and it really was very far away from that bar.
I went in totally blind, but still, I had raised expectations just because of what you guys were saying. Or what you were saying,
TC, you were like, you thought it was going to be scary shit because the trailer
if you're
was so
not
good.
shitting your pants from that trailer, I don't know what you're doing, because that was scary.
And I agreed with that, but then you watched it, and then it was just like, how do those trailer guys are going to get a lot of work.
I know. I know. They really did a good job there. They really did. Because
I'll have to go watch the trailer now.
Yeah.
They had this whole marketing thing where the lead actor didn't see Nicolas Cage before their first day of shooting together, and they put a microphone underneath her shirt, and the microphone picked up her heartbeat, and they made a marketing thing show her heartbeat go from like 80 BPM to 170 BPM at the end of the scene with Nicolas Cage, just to show you how scary Nicolas Cage looked in the movie.
Yeah.
So like that's some pretty good marketing right there.
Yeah, it is good. It's good.
But I mean, at the same time, at the end of that scene, she's amping herself up because she just witnessed someone smash their face into the table.
Right,
so your heart rate's going to go up just from the physical activity and stuff.
Well, also all the aggressive breathing she's doing, which it was loud. The breathing was really loud. It seemed louder than it needed to be, but whatever.
I thought the audio was good. I mean, I thought this movie was generally above average.
I like some of the I like the use of sound. Again, that helped me when Nic Cage first appeared. It was they would do these.
I like the way they didn't show his eyes.
Yeah,
it was just his mouth, and I was like, "That's cool."
And then
part of me was like, "This is just for marketing to be like, ooh, is that Nic Cage?" It's hard to tell, but it was creepy because we were like, she's talking to a little kid, and the way he like jumps down, and what did he say? He's like, "I wore my long legs today." I'm like, "What the fuck does that mean?" That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Do you know what it means yet? I had to look it up. What it means?
Oh, does it actually mean something?
Well, people theorized about it, and there's a theory. The short legs are the doll's legs, and his human legs are the long legs.
Because
because like he's
a doll.
Yeah, I guess it's
almost.
like because he's possessed by the devil. The dolls are possessed by the devil, so it's kind of one thing. So like he's being operated by the devil, and he's wearing his long legs when he's in that person's body, and he's operating with his short legs when he's in the doll's body. Is what people on the internet are saying.
He's just a freak.
But something that also threw me for a loop in this movie is when they were talking about, what was it, the man downstairs or something like that?
Right.
I thought they were talking about Satan, but apparently Nic Cage lives in the mom's basement. Did you guys pick up on that?
No. He's talking about himself third person. Because I assumed that they are talking. Well, he says
I missed it, but there's a scene.
End.
Do you remember the scene where the lead actor, Lee Harker, is walking around her mother's house, sees a cockroach crawl out from underneath the door, goes to check the handle, and it's locked, and it doesn't tell you why she's doing that.
Because Nic Cage is down there,
It's because that's the basement, and Nic Cage is in the basement.
Downstairs. Yeah, I get it, but I didn't really get that at all. I was really disappointed too. Like I like the setup. I was like the T-Rex quote. Song lyric quote
and the song that was nice. Right. It's like this has got some style.
This is going to be cool. We're gonna, but didn't really.
Just a bookend T-Rex song for no reason.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer.
Yeah,
because I thought, wow, that's going to be
But I did like the general lack of score for the most part.
Yep, always. Well, not always, but.
I think
far
it
more
works.
often than not.
When you don't have the budget, I guess.
Unless you're fucking Star Wars.
When the story sucks and no one wants to put any money in it.
Well, they spent half of the money on Nic Cage. This movie had a $10 million budget, and they spent $5 million on Nic Cage.
Jesus Christ, what a fucking waste of money.
Yeah, I don't know. Nic Cage was entertaining, but he was in the wrong movie, I thought. Like even the scene, like another thing to compare it to movies he's previously done, when he's in the car and he's like, "Mommy, Daddy."
I enjoyed that.
That's from Kick-Ass. When he's on fire and he's yelling commands to Hit Girl. That's the exact same thing, the same exact voice he makes. Right. So like that's all I can think about when I watch this. Is like that's from that. That's Nic Cage from this other movie. That's Nic Cage from this other movie. That's from this other movie's scene.
Then that's Nic Cage again from the past other movie, and there he is again.
I haven't really
Would you put this near the bottom end of your Nic Cage happiness scale?
No. What do you mean happiness? Like I enjoyed it.
Your Nic Cage films, like in terms of ranking. I said that just terribly.
Yeah.
But ranking your Nic Cage
bottom
films.
half? No, I wouldn't say so. Well, it depends.
Not even bottom half.
No, the thing is with Nic Cage, you can't go wrong because if he's in a good movie, you'll like him for his skill, and if he's in a bad movie, you'll like it because he's diverse and he goes crazy and stuff.
You can't go wrong. I don't know about all that.
The thing is, I liked watching him in this movie, but his performance hurt the overall movie, I think.
Yep. He was
because
scary.
It didn't fit.
Well, he wasn't given much to do.
He seemed like he was in it for a very short period of time, and by the time he's in the interrogation room right before he kills himself, it seems like he ran out of stuff to do. Right? He seems like he ran out of crazy shit to say.
But his job, and his job here is to be frightening. And as you said, Denny, that wasn't
But when
happening.
he's just like sitting and swirling around in his chair, like reading poetry, I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now. It's definitely not scary.
That probably wasn't even the script, was it, Nick?
No, probably
That's
not.
all right.
I mean, when you're paying $5 million for a Nic Cage, you don't want a script. You want pure, unfiltered
He's also
Nick.
a producer. Does that mean like he was giving part of the $5 million to himself or something?
To himself?
He probably gave that money directed to
and
himself.
It was a write-off or something
Right.
if it failed. I don't know how it works, but that sounds right to me.
Yeah. Well, when you've become a low budget actor, I guess it's.
I doubt you guys saw Dolls coming
end.
as the thing to wrap the plot together with metal balls in their head.
I did not.
I didn't fucking get that at all. That made no sense. Like, how does that give him his power? Who else makes the dolls now that he's gone? But the movie makes it in like it's going to continue.
Right.
But then who the fuck's going to make the dolls? But whatever.
Well, what happens at the end? The gun doesn't fire. Like, is she actually even there? Is she still possessed even though they blew up her ball in her doll? Like, what the fuck?
Right. I thought she was like free, but I thought somehow the cycle is going to continue with her.
That's what I thought too, but why?
But I don't know.
Because like she was like getting sung to, her gun didn't work.
Why did she just like fucking stand there while the guy goes back? I'm gonna go murder the wife.
That was hilarious. I was laughing, but I was like, why is this so funny right now?
It shouldn't be funny.
This doesn't make any
We're
sense.
not supposed to be laughing.
Like, I'm going to the kitchen, and then I'm gonna come back, and you're not gonna.
And you're not gonna come back. They got a laugh from the crowd,
and
I was like, what the fuck?
Stay here, and meanwhile she just stays there.
And she's like looking at her mother as the wife gets stabbed in the kitchen. You're like, you're not gonna stop this? You were a terrible police officer.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway,
most of the movie made no sense.
I didn't get the doll. The doll parts made very little sense to me, even when it tried to be explained with all the exposition.
They're just magical devil balls that live inside dolls' heads that can possess people to murder people.
Yeah, right. The devil. I guess it's that sphere that is the source of power.
But even if you shoot it, like what doesn't make sense is it had control over her or something. She had one. The lead character, Lee Harker, had one for herself. But what did it give her? What did she lose? It seems like it was the exact same after the mother shot her.
Somehow that gave her psychic powers, and then her mom bargained with Nicolas Cage to let her live. And so
you're doing too many plot points at once. Why did the mother get the opportunity to bargain with Nicolas Cage?
Because Nick showed up on her birthday.
No, but this happened before. There were murders before this instance. Why didn't they bargain with other people?
I don't, because he didn't. It just didn't work.
Because then there's no movie, Denny, and it doesn't make any. It doesn't.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They should have just made that one the first one.
I didn't even get all the fucking numbers. Like what the 14th and what any of that meant made no sense. Really, it was like, oh, there's a pattern.
What you have to do is you have to graph out the birthdays, and you have to draw a little triangle around.
And then you get a little triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. What the fuck?
But there's a missing dot in the triangle, John, and that's where the 13th was. She was missing one of the 13ths to complete the triangle, and therefore that was the last one. And
I'm glad this wasn't really freaky and scary because Samantha's birthday's her birthday's on the 14th, so I was happy.
Shit.
I mean,
when they first were laying this,
the
out,
idea
like,
that it only works if you fold the page in half. I mean, I like she's like, look. Once I fold it, it becomes a triangle. Like, what? What if you leave the page unfolded? Does it not make a triangle? What do you do?
You made up the rules of this exercise, and you happen to find a pattern in this made-up exercise. What the hell? It
made no, and there was no reasoning for it, and there was nothing that put that character in a place where she had to make a decision that led her to the next thing. It was like she arrived on something contrived. She found the contrived thing. It led her somewhere else. Then she found another thing. That thing led her somewhere else. And then she found another thing that she had to get told what it is. Then she found another thing that then told something else. And every time we had to get an exposition into why it made like any sort of importance.
But it's fine, TC, because her character was introduced in a scene where we were told she was psychic. So anything can happen with her character now. They started off with that. So they just ran amok.
She can just have a feeling.
I don't know, man.
It could be a feeling. It could be the devil telling her what to do. It could be because she's a really good puzzle solver.
The guy downstairs who's also Nic Cage, who refers to himself in the third person as the guy downstairs.
Who also is the devil, though, because he's possessed by him.
But he says hell Satan. No, he's not the devil. He's a Satan worshiper.
You don't think he's possessed by the devil? I think he is.
He just worships Satan.
Because he says, I wore my long legs today. So if it wasn't the devil speaking through Nic Cage, then it would make less sense.
Oh, I like that part.
Because the devil also is inside the dolls, right? So he wears his short legs. The devil wears his short legs when he's in the dolls. And he wears his long legs when he's in the cage.
But isn't the whole... Oh, I guess that makes sense. I don't know.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't catch any of that. So, because it was like the devil only worked if it was in the dolls.
And
that's how they made it seem by, the idea of like, oh, when it's in the dolls, it can escape and do other things. So then if that's the case and it doesn't need the dolls and it's coming through Nic Cage, then what the fuck? Why do we need the dolls in this story?
Because they can't leave any evidence. He'd rather create mystical dolls that mind control people.
So you're saying the devil is worried about discovery at the court? Like, what does that mean?
Also,
it means he doesn't have to be there, I guess.
Also, they had this whole thing of like, there was no other evidence of other people. Like, it's impossible he couldn't have been in there. And you're like, oh, okay, he was never in there. But his, what's her name? Lee Harker's mother was in there every fucking time. They didn't find any evidence from her in there.
Sure, right.
There's another person in there.
She was like, oh, no fingerprints or anything.
Yeah.
She would have left evidence.
Yeah.
Every time.
She wasn't wearing a plastic suit when she was in the other house.
Nuns
she
don't
was
leave
just hair
evidence,
out.
guys. Come on.
It just completely removes that plot point. And like the reason,
you're right.
I don't know.
You're right. No, that's a good point too. It does remove this idea, and it takes all other than the doll part. It takes out this. It's just weird. I was bummed because I really was looking forward to enjoying something like this. And I was really looking forward to some kind of really cool explanation about how Nic Cage, how
they should have not explained it.
Makes the family kill themselves, right? Yeah, right. It's better off not explaining if this is what you're going to get. But I was like, they're setting it up. I'm kind of looking for it. Okay, she's psychic. There's some connection with her background. Who knows? Maybe she's the accomplice. Like I didn't know where. So for a little while, it felt like it could go anywhere, and I kind of liked that. But then, yeah, man, the explanation's really.
And the way they did it too, where they just like, they didn't know how to do it smoothly. So they just started off Act 3 with like a 10-minute long short movie where it just explained literally everything.
Right. You know, like as if they're describing the bank job in Ocean's 11 or whatever. They're like, like, here's the scenario. All right, you got Nic Cage. He's got the dolls. They got to go in there. And then the dolls make the guys do the thing.
I mean, if you have to explain it that much, it's a terrible fucking story.
Yeah, especially for a horror film. I don't know.
I still kind of liked it, though. I mean, TC's saying terrible, and we're complaining a lot. I was engaged. I thought it was like,
except for the fact that you were looking at the screen and you forgot to pay attention and it scared you.
That scene was particularly long.
That was.
So I mean, take that with a grain of salt.
I can see your point, Dave. Like I said, I enjoyed my time in the theater. I'm not saying I loved it either. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I had fun.
I'd recommend it to people who really are like me, who like stretch themselves to try to find good horror movies. This is one where if you're stretching yourself to try to find a good horror movie, you would probably enjoy it.
And I just think too, what sucks is that like when they market it like they did, it's just underwhelming. And like, you know, that had to have been a decision by the suits. Like, well, this movie fucking sucks. So hire that marketing team and we'll pay them whatever we need to make it look good.
We got, yeah.
And it was the director, Oz Perkins' decision I think it was part of the deal, to not show Nic Cage in any of the promotional material. And then the marketing team took that idea and was like, all right, we're going to hype up how scary he looks and not show him.
No, not even that. We're going to only hear him.
snowballed.
I remember thinking, and I could hear Nic Cage, but I didn't see him. I think that's what I said on the last podcast.
But you're intrigued, right? Yeah.
I heard
You're
him.
intrigued, and then all the reviews are like, oh man, he's going to be so scary looking. They're not even showing him in the trailer. He's so scary. And then you see him and he looks like freaking, I don't know, like Mickey Rourke fell into like a pile of flour or something like that.
Yeah, it was bad.
Just kind of like
bad.
Really bad homeless dude sort of guy. I don't know. Just like really unwashed, sort of puffy.
And the thing is, there was the scene where he gets caught. He gets caught and they have him in prison, and it's like, it's almost like the Joker scene in The Dark Knight where he's like, oh, you caught me, but this is part of my plan. But then he just kills himself. It's like, that's not a good plan, dude. You should have just like escaped. I don't get it.
I mean, he's so happy to see the daughter for some reason and to see the agent, our main character.
I guess he's probably not too upset about dying because in this world, the devil does exist. It's like an absolutely, it's a thing. And this guy's probably going to have a pretty good seat in hell or something like that, I would imagine.
Well, I thought what it might be is that, again, this movie doesn't do that well enough. But it was time to pass the torch to her. Like that's why he was happy to see her. That it's like this is time. This is the time for her to become him and to continue this work.
But is the work even going to continue? Because the triangle is complete with the last set of murders we see.
I mean, so like, don't remember the triangle. That was only for visuals. We're gonna move on.
He says "Hail Satan" at the end. Satan's coming to life.
It's not going to make sense. I was just thinking that would maybe be kind of what they're hinting at, but where he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to cut because now it's your turn." And you're going to go.
But why?
Yeah,
why
right.
doesn't he just continue doing the work?
There was a lot of that.
Because he's
why?
old and tired.
All of this is why do we care about this character? Why is this happening to her? Other than the fact that
because it's her turn. But why? He was doing a fine job.
And where does she?
And besides, she's not going to be able to make dolls like he can.
Yeah, and she's publicly. She works for the FBI. She's not going to be able to sneak away and murder families. Like it's not going to work
very well. No. Anyway,
bad.
Who knows?
I don't know what I mean. Like it's just bad. The movie sucked. It sucked.
Did you think
it
didn't suck?
It sucked. If you're a non-horror fan, like if you don't like horror, you're not a horror fan, and you saw this on a whim.
This is not horror. This is like
you would be like, "What is this?
Mythical thriller or something like that?"
Really? No. If you were just a normal moviegoer, you would not go to this and be like, "Oh, that was good." You'd be like, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would 100% agree with that. Yeah. Because it's not like it's shoving like interesting stuff in your face the whole time. It's kind of like, hey, we're going to linger on this person walking around the house. You guys like this? It's kind of scary, isn't it? We got some mood going on here.
I felt bad for the couples. Like I didn't bring my partner. I was like, you're not going to like it. And then I got there and there was a lot of couples.
I'm glad.
And I was like, they probably all thought this was going to be something. And then like the guy was sitting there like, shit, what did I do? This is terrible. I thought this was going to be good. It has Nicolas Cage in it. And then nope.
Yeah.
Should have brought her to Saw 10 instead. The movie's way better than this one.
Should have brought her to Kong and Kong versus Godzilla, new whatever. I watched that last night. That shit
where
was
they give
great.
the monkey where
they
have the giant fist?
I was sitting there last night and I was watching that movie just because like on and I saw it and I was like, that seems ridiculous. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, this was better than Longlegs. So I don't know.
Is it free somewhere?
I think so.
Is that one free somewhere?
On HBO maybe.
No.
Ooh, okay.
Dude,
I was wondering if we should go see Maxine, though.
No, there's really not much talking. And it's, Godzilla and Kong, they scream. And that's the one trick pony. Like, it's literally the entire movie, them just screaming.
They yell.
Yeah, they yell a lot. They yell and scream. That's it. Hey, what are you doing over there? Over and over again. And I did not get bored by that. And then, I got Longlegs over there, and it was not as good. So, I don't know.
This movie's missing? Giant monkeys. This movie could use some giant monkeys yelling.
Energy that builds and then comes out of Godzilla, and then they scream, and that's what's missing. But the one cool thing about that movie is it's got like a Middle Earth thing that's going on, and it's interesting.
Oh, like a fantasy?
There's a whole ape universe in between the worlds where Kong actually lives, quote unquote, and that's where they put him. And Godzilla comes out. Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. It's a whole thing.
They put them so they have this whole other planet that they could live in. But
it's a Middle Earth.
King Kong in there.
There's no gravity. It's a whole thing. No.
There's no gravity?
No, there's sometimes no gravity. It was really weird. Yeah. There was. There was sometimes no gravity. Like you got to watch it, actually. It's actually pretty. I watched the whole thing, put it that way. And I was like, that wasn't that bad. If you like watching shit, remember how, Godzilla, you blow everything up. They break everything. I mean, it's kind of fun,
Action.
Was this the first movie? Was that the first movie you watched after you watched Longlegs? So that's the reason you liked it. Because the bar was so low.
They have a section where Godzilla and Kong are fighting in the pyramids. That's kind of cool. They beat the shit out. They just destroy the pyramids.
They have pyramids in that floaty Middle Earth area?
No. So one of the portals ends up in Egypt. So you can imagine.
I see. There's portals.
There's portals. There's Middle Earth. There's Kong. There's Godzilla. I mean, really, I can imagine the pitch meeting, right? They're like, no. You're not going to get it. We're going to have Middle Earth. We're going to have Kong. And then someone was like, but did you guys see that thing about Longlegs? And they're like, dude, it looks scary. And then all of a sudden we're all in the same theater, wishing we had not gone to spend $20 on Longlegs.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Longlegs is 87% on Rotten Tomatoes for the critics.
Well, yeah. Dude, they're all a bunch of circle jerking
I'd give this
assholes.
one a positive Well, no, I think it sounds like if we ranked it per Rotten Tomatoes standards, me and John would both give it like a 2.5 out of 5 or above, which would be lending itself towards the fresh tomato thing. I guess. Right? So even we are at like 66% Rotten Tomatoes between us three, even though we're kind of doing nothing but shitting on it this whole time now.
It's tough for you, I know, as a Nicolas Cage fan.
Yeah. I wish there was more Cage. I wish he fit in better. I wish the movie was weirder or he was more serious and scary. I wish it just fit together better.
Yeah, wasn't scary.
Because it didn't fit. It wasn't scary and it didn't fit. It could have been scary if Nicolas Cage was scary, I think. And if it wasn't broken up from like his performances. And like maybe her police chief performance was also like, took me out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And this happens, I think, sometimes in these $10 million marks where like, you've got a cool premise. You've got a cool, like, okay, so it's the devil. Great. You got dolls. Cool. Seems scary. You got Nicolas Cage with weird makeup acting like a pedo. That's scary. And then you got like all these things, like elements. Like if you got them on the board in the writer's room, like this looks like a cool idea. And they didn't have the story to back it up. And all the dialogue was exposition. So anytime you do that, you're going to lose a lot of the audience because they don't want to be explained stuff. They want to be shown it. And they don't know that, but that's how it is. And it didn't end up with a good story. And remember how I mentioned a lot of times these stories don't have an ending when they go into shooting. They're still working that all out. This had to have been one of them where they just threw together an edit and they were like, well, we got to explain everything. We don't have a choice.
I think that's the way it felt at the very least. Yeah. Because that third act was just like
thrown together.
All right, guys, we know you've been dragging you along and you have no idea what's going on, but here you go. Oh, here's everything you need to know. Yeah. But I mean, that part was not bad. Like as a short movie outside of the film, I thought that little exposition part was like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. It was like faster than the rest of the movie because they were really like giving you a lot of story and stuff as opposed to like giving you hints of random shit and then like following people walking around for a long period of time.
Right.
So I didn't hate that part. I was like, okay, here we go. We're getting into like the serious part of the story. And then it gets super goofy in that last scene in the house with the doll, with the family and the jokes. Like those are played for laughs, right? Yeah. That was supposed to be funny. And they're trying to kill a little girl and she kills her mom. Like, that's not very funny. Like, it doesn't really, I don't know, man. I don't know what they were thinking with some of that stuff.
Yeah. Do I? But they spent $10 million. So it goes to show you. And
they made their money back. There you go.
This is what Ryan would say all the time, right? Someone's spending that money. So you have a chance in Hollywood if you try. You have a good story with an ending that makes sense and a climax that works, then you're likely to get the $10 million if actor that'll fit that realm. And so I'm sure what happened was these financiers took a chance. They're like, well, we got Nicolas Cage. The story's not 100%, but you know what?
He's taking half the budget. Yeah, but he can use half that budget.
But honestly, and what do we need the rest of the line producer's like, well, hey, I can line item the rest of it and it's cheap because like we're only going to be in a cabin. We're going to be in like on location
one cabin,
stuff.
One house, and some corridors.
Yeah, all we got to do is make some photos
we only got
crime
a third
scene
of the script,
shit.
That's okay.
Yeah, right. And
I think we're going to want to throw some snakes in there. Can you guys get like 3 snakes?
Oh,
we can
throw some snakes
in.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah,
about?
what were the snakes about? That was one of my questions.
Yeah.
That was a good point.
They kept going back to like flashing snakes, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah, when are the snakes going to show
Dude,
up?
it's related to the devil. If we show snakes, maybe they'll make the connection without us having to explain it again.
And jump scares. And we can just use random snakes for jump scares. And that people love jump scares.
Everyone likes snakes or hates snakes. Whatever. It's good. Both ways.
And this happens a lot, right? Because the financiers at the $10 million mark are just Joe Schmoes trying to make it. A lot of times it's just some guy with money and he's hiring a crew.
Neon. Neon's the production company.
I don't know.
And it was, so Cage was we watched his last movie for Neon, which was Pig. So it also a small budget movie, but they're kind of like A24.
It was great.
Yeah. But like they do but
a lot of times people funding that aren't part of Neon. They're part of financier group that are just guys or women that have the money and they hire Neon to do the production. And then that's who puts their name on it because they did the work. But the money's coming from people that just have money. They're not Hollywood execs. They're not studio people. They're just random people that have cash. And so they will front the money in hopes that when they sell the movie on the back end, that it makes their money back and then some. But they're not like, a lot of times they have no fucking background in storytelling, understanding what that all means and why it's important. They just assume that if you show up with the $10 million, get an actor that has a name, you'll bring in the money. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But look what's happening here. They obviously had the cash for the marketing. So, what
They
just
did.
because that
$7 million for marketing.
$10 million for that budget was for the production, they have an extra $7 million for the marketing. So really they put in 17 in hopes that they make it back. And they may have. I don't know what they did. Box
They're at
office.
They're at 22 million right now, so they're good.
So then what happens is you get that fucking asshole who's like, I told you I could do it. And then they throw more money into the next shitty project and don't ever come up with a story. And, it still works. So there's money to be made for those Joe Schmoes that have some cash, especially in LA. There's a lot of them, right? Real estate guys, fucking stupid fund groups that don't really have any Hollywood expertise. You'd be surprised how prevalent that is. And, they really do fund quite a bit of an indie circuit that, you end up in this little racket where it sucks. Which is why, like, the big name talent, they're not coming. Because you either go from that
What, are you saying Nicolas Cage is a big name talent? Is that what you're saying?
But no, you're not. But $5 million, it's a pretty good payout but you're going from a $2 million budget to a $10 million budget. And in that range, if you can get an actor that'll make you that $10 million mark, that's what gets you the financiers to release money. Without that, then you're not getting shit. And you're going to be relegated down to a $2 million budget because there's no wiggle room for the actor's pay. Actor's pay needs to be at a certain rate. And they're not going to take that low rate of $1 million. Nic Cage isn't taking that money. If the budget
not
is
anymore.
$2
He
million,
was 10 years ago.
He's
but
not even
anymore.
coming close. He's not even having a conversation. So, you got to figure he probably did what? 5 days worth of production on that movie and got paid $5 million, right? So, like, he doesn't give a shit if the movie does well or
He's
not.
Brando.
Yeah.
He's freaking Brando
Doesn't
right
give a
now.
shit. So,
Apocalypse
it's such a fucking racket, that whole industry, man. And
can you imagine who there was another guy that they had their eye on for Longlegs, the character.
Who?
Oh.
You're never going to be able to guess.
Obscure
I don't know. Do you have any guesses?
Actor that nobody knows?
No. Famous actor.
Really?
Just would have been a lot different. An A-lister still.
Really? No wonder why they didn't get him. They're like, hey, we'll go $500. And they're like,
Brad Pitt.
Oh, come off it.
Ooh.
He wouldn't have been able to do it anyway.
He's like, dude, you don't even, you can't pay for a meeting with me then. Get the fuck out of here, $5 million. Out of your gourd.
Yeah, but that's what he had in his mind. And they got Nic Cage. So, hey, look at that. Getting one of his top choices there.
I feel bad for them
Good
because
for
they're in that indie zone where, like, nobody gives a shit. And the financiers are cutthroat finance guys. They don't give a fuck about the movie or the creativity or the art or who's writing it, who's doing the work. All they care about is throwing their $10 million in, trying to make that into 16, 17 million, and then doing it again, rinse and repeat over and over again. And they don't give a shit. They pump out crap. And that's just kind of Hollywood.
And
now.
if Neon is like that, because we don't know for sure that Neon is that business structure. They might be. A24 is not that business structure. So let's assume that Neon is that structure. If that's the case, then you can see why A24 is popular and nobody talks about Neon, because there is that disconnect where, like, I wouldn't, if this wasn't a movie that was new and had a bunch of hype, I wouldn't have recommended it even for like our Halloween movie viewing. And I certainly, like, when I see Neon, even with like Pig was pretty good and this movie was like pretty good, it's not like blow me away. I need to follow this production company because it's the production company that's making these movies good. Or like even this director, like I'm not going to follow this director. I might follow the lead actor in this movie. I thought she was really good and she's had a hard time getting in stuff since It Follows. And I thought I thought she was great in the movie by itself and she was a lot different than in It Follows. So there's like some range there. So I'd follow her, but like, yeah. I mean, if this was Halloween, I wouldn't be like, guys, we got to watch Longlegs. You'll love it. I'd be like, nope, you guys wouldn't like it.
Good. Yeah. I mean,
at least TC wouldn't like it.
There's a reason why like Lifetime movies are that in a certain level, right? Because there's one production company that does all those goddamn movies, right? And it's known that if you're working for them, you're a bum, right? Like that's just kind of, put it this way. I worked for them before, so you can tell it's for bums. And, that's because that's the indie circuit, right? They'll hire anybody that'll fucking sit there for 12 hours and make $15 an hour, right? So, I mean, you're going to get shit because you're paying shit. And those are the production companies that take that bottom barrel crap. How it goes. Welcome to Hollywood, baby.
Bottom barrel crap.
Industry.
Longlegs. Terrence Mulhern right
there. You go. It is. Fucking thing was terrible.
Oh, you think this is bottom barrel, TC? You do not watch all the horror movies that come out. They put out some fucking awful horror movies every year. This is pretty damn good. This is probably the best horror movie I've seen this year. It's not yet October, but like Slim Pickens. There's like nothing this year. I was looking back at like the last 5 years. There's like one good horror movie per year, if you're lucky, really. This year's still at 0, where I'd be like, okay, that's like a really good one. I would tell people. Still at 0.
How many have you seen where you're still at 0?
All of them?
No, I'm saying like how many in total have you seen? Like number?
This year 10,
and you're still at 0.
I think around 10.
Holy shit!
I mean, I watch usually between 15 and 30 horror movies a year, and I get like one that I really think is good, and then like 5 that I might recommend to people if they like horror movies, and the other ones are just like
garbage.
Yeah,
that's because no one's funding them.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's because it's hard to it's like comedy. Having a really good comedy is really hard because it's hard to be funny. It's hard to act scared. Like one of the things Jodie Foster's performance stands out is like she looks actually scared, and it's rare to have that. Like you'd think you'd have a scared looking person in every horror movie, but really it's just a bunch of people acting scared.
Yeah, you
like
get Shelley Duvall over and over again.
Right. Well, we do get a little spoiled coming off of Silence of the Lambs, which is just like one of the like peak thriller like this. I mean, it's not supernatural, but it's still. But that doesn't diminish the fact that it sets the bar high and it hasn't been broken yet. And you just have all these people trying all the time, and it's really fucking hard to do it. Like most people don't come close. And I thought this movie didn't come close, but it was still way closer than a lot of other people did. She had less to do, I think, than Jodie Foster did in that movie. But I thought at least she had less of a character too. She had less. There was much less for her to be, other than weird kind of.
That's true, because they didn't give her any choices to make. They just showed her breadcrumbs, and
she just floated through the movie. Yeah, she just floated. Yeah. That's a good point. So there's like, I don't know. You're supposed to let your characters make choices. I assume that makes them more interesting.
Yeah, because the character drives
what choices they would make.
Plot. So like, if your character's making decisions, you're giving emotion to the audience.
The devil drove the plot. TC.
Yeah, right.
The devil drove the plot.
Or the guy downstairs.
Yeah, the guy downstairs.
Nic Cage,
the doll guy
with his dolls.
Yeah.
Do you think they greenlit this easier because they had that Megan movie?
Even the 17-year-old, cashier wasn't afraid of. So, like, Denny, you made such a good point with that. Like, if the audience isn't scared because the people on screen aren't scared, it's an issue.
Yeah.
It's such a really weird
scene. That scene did not need to be in the movie. Even
it didn't make anything better.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was building to something exactly. I was like, oh, here it comes. He's going to be really creepy. He's going to freak her out. No,
they just needed more Nic Cage, and they didn't have that much good Nic Cage. So I'm sure they just included it to be like, well, at least Nic Cage is being silly for about 30
he's
seconds.
In there. He's doing weird things there. So
he probably shot the fucking movie for literally 3 days, and then made $5 million. And that's all they had. You know what I mean? They had nothing.
Nic Cage did. Okay.
Yeah, Nic Cage only had 3 or 4 days on set, and that's all they got. And they're like, well, we got to use it. We told him he would get X amount of screen time. And then you start fucking.
This movie doesn't exist if he's not in it.
That's another issue with those indie films, too, is you start going into numbers of like percentages of who gets what and when. And then you have no control now. There's no story about it. It's all about, well, I have to pay this person that much. I have to give them this much screen time. And like all these little bullshit things pop up, and you're like all of a sudden not creating art anymore.
This is how TC gets mad at movies. He doesn't talk about how the actors did or anything. He thinks about the producers and all of their
I just think about all the assholes
and
that
how
made
they
it happen.
ruined the
Yeah,
movies.
and I'm like, this is ruined by all sorts of reasons why. They didn't even they didn't stand a chance. At that $10 million mark, it is so difficult to have any control over your movie because it's people pulling the strings with the money, the purse strings that dictate what happens.
That's why you got to go Blumhouse. DC, that's why you got to go Blumhouse or A24 because they do give total control and they put out good movies.
Yeah,
and if the movies aren't good, it's totally the director's fault or something else. But yeah, I don't know that much about Neon. I would like to say you're wrong here, but let's just assume that you're right.
Well,
I'll come back next podcast. We have a Neon movie and we'll talk about how they make
Neon,
movies specifically.
Again, Neon is just the company that took the bid to do the work. Most likely. It's the financiers that have the final say. The executive producers, like Nicolas Cage, should have
for
fucking
Blumhouse and A24, the financiers are part of the production company.
Oh, there you go. So that's different.
It's not,
But a lot of times there's these financiers that are not related to the production company. They're just the people in the background putting up the cash. They're not, they don't have an interest.
We're throwing this all, and you're talking very generally at Neon, and I'm just saying that we don't know if
I'm not saying it's Neon's fault. I'm saying that it's likely financiers that have put in the most money that get the most say.
Okay,
Neon does the work.
Neon did portrait of a lady on fire. They did Parasite. They were affiliated with Parasite.
Maybe I should watch Neon more frequently.
They did Palm Springs.
Again, it might not be them creating the. It's just them taking on the work. And
they did the worst. They did the worst person in the world. We watched a shit ton of their stuff.
So then it's likely not created by them. Then, if it's
so the people, so the Neon team needs to get on their shit because A24 shoves their brand down our throats. I got an A24 golf hat. I wear like golf, and I don't have a Neon T-shirt.
Right?
They need to start marketing like it's for movie snobs and stuff.
One problem is there's names too friggin' generic. So it's Neon. You don't even know it's the production company. A24, right?
But that's again probably because the branding, the marketing. It goes along with that.
But if you just wear a shirt that says Neon, it could be like a skateboard thing. It could be just, I don't know, it's lighting,
Kitty clothing.
I guess you have Neon production. Yeah, right.
So Neon's was producing its own movies through March of this year until they announced a, whatever this means, non-exclusive financial partnership with Waypoint Entertainment to co-finance their
and there's the
genre
financier,
films. So
baby.
that just happened.
But you know what? It probably
just happened.
Just happened officially. It's probably been in the works for years.
Maybe, but I mean that affected this movie, right? The movies John just mentioned, it might have been because they're producing their own movies with their own cash, but now they're getting some other fight. So this is the breakdown of Neon.
I was right. That's what you're trying to say. Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty funny.
It's fucked up. That's because that's going on in Hollywood across the board. It's not just Neon.
Oh shit! Yeah, they did. Goddamn, Anatomy of a Fall, Triangle Sadness. It's funny that we weren't recognizing their production company.
It's because they're not advertising it to us. Like you need to know about A24.
Like with A24 or even Annapurna. There's like these other like more kind of avant-garde indie kind of places that are very recognizable.
They probably ran out of fucking money from the strike.
This is too bad because I'm a Neon fan now, but I won't be after this movie. Like it's going forward. It's going to be different.
Dude, I'm telling you, the more you learn about Hollywood, the less you like it. I'm telling you, it is just part of the deal, and that's why I said like sometimes you don't want to know how the sausage is made. You just want to watch the fucking movie. Because if you know how it's all made, it really puts a dark, sort of tinge on everything. Especially at these lower level.
And especially if you have to listen to a movie historian for 2.5 hours and a commentary track of a movie you didn't even enjoy in the first place. That's not a really good way to watch the sausage get made either.
Right. True. As you see, this is the first time this person's on screen. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
You can see Nicolas Cage actually wore his long legs today. What else we got?
Not much more to say about this one.
No, I'm surprised we got to this long.
Yeah,
this was good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys are still willing to go to the theaters, in separate places but at the same time.
It's fun.
There was a lot of trailers. I actually timed it. 27 minutes worth of trailers before this movie. Quite a bit.
Wow.
That's like, it's like 12 trailers, something like that. Some of them looked pretty good. Some good horror movies coming up, it looked like.
Huh.
I assume you saw some of the same trailers.
Well, I was late. I got there right as the film started, which was nice.
There's a new Alien movie coming out by the guy who did the remake of Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, and it looked damn good. It looked like scary as shit.
Huh.
Nice.
So that's
what about like I thought you wanted us to watch Vaccine at one point. Have you soured on that?
Yeah.
I've
been reading too many reviews. It's still like $20 to rent, but the reviews are not getting me too pumped. Everyone's saying it's worse than X and Pearl, and I liked those two. Didn't love them, but liked them. So if it's worse than those, then I'm not too excited about it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I will watch it, but I won't force you guys to watch it. How about that?
All right. Well, what do we got? Well, okay. Well, first, like top 250.
No.
Yeah.
No,
right.
No.
Okay. And then what's next?
The Matrix, 1999.
That.
Yeah. Let's
that
do it.
I can get behind.
Yeah. The Wachowski twins.
That I can get behind, my guys. That is all right.
It's going to seem really even better than, Godzilla, maybe.
I mean,
Godzilla
dude,
versus Kong.
that shit was all right. I'm just saying, if you want to watch a movie,
that should be on the front of the box.
Yeah, that shit was all right.
Shit was all right.
If you want to watch a movie where you don't have to pay attention, but you want to see a lot of cool special effects, that's your fucking movie.
That's fine.
That's a good genre. I like that.
Yeah. Very little dialogue, lots of screaming, lots of things blowing up, broken.
I still love you. You're describing it as them yelling at each other.
It was great. It was
singing like these guys.
And then,
what are you doing, monkey?
That's it, over and
Monkey,
over
you
and over
stupid
and over
monkey.
again.
You stupid lizard.
at some point, you
Like-
get like, all right, I get it. They're gonna scream up.
You
Then they
guys
go,
are roaring.
Yeah,
you guys
right.
are mad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, use the word
good.
scream. I would use the word roar for what you're describing. Screaming is like a high pitched.
Well,
You know.
Well, no,
the
he used
thing
the word-
is
he used the word
they
yelling,
have
which is
inflection.
really more of
They
a-
have a different inflection depending on what they're
Which
doing.
makes me think
So
you're-
there's a
when you
lot
said
of yelling
I
and
think they're
screaming.
actually saying something.
They're yelling at each other. Put it that way. It sounds
yeah.
like a roar, but there's inflections to it because it's communication.
Don't call me a monkey,
Yeah,
you
that's
stupid.
exactly.
Whatever.
And then rah, and then it changes. You see the pitch changes with the different fuck yous.
the subtlety. There's
Yeah.
character arcs.
There
You know?
is.
That's right. That's
They
right.
make decisions. The characters make their own decisions. It's
right.
great.
That's
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
Exactly.
All right. So the Matrix
Okay,
next
guys.
week.
Wait.
Next
Back to the
week.
list.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Talk to you then.
Later.
See you guys.
Stop.